Hello, welcome to the Red Devils report, coming from after our first Champions League game that we're covering. Well, we say we're United till we die, and we'd have to be watching that, Darren, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely, Ted. Jesus, that was a hard watch, man.
Yeah.
We again this evening turned into Moments FC, didn't we?
Yeah, 100%. The first goal we scored was a lovely team goal, and and it was similar to the last game against these. I know we didn't score in the first half against these, but it looked like at the end of the game we turned it on. Like the end of the first half, we turned it on, and I was like, we're gonna come out here now, and we're gonna rocket through these in the second half, yeah. And just no such luck at all.
No, and I mean, it's not even that we're not like we didn't create chances. We didn't, obviously in the home leg or in the game week 3. We created a lot more, and the keeper was busier and stuff like that. Other than the goals tonight, we created very little.
Yeah.
You see Donny at the end there nearly nicks it for us. Now, I've got to tell you, I felt like a really bad person watching it, because I was like, you know what, we've done these up like an absolute kipper at Old Trafford, and we're about to do it to them again. And that almost ended up 3-2, and they don't deserve it, because we haven't been good enough over the 2 games against these. To come away with 4 points from the 2 games that we played against Atalanta, we are absolutely blessed.
Yeah, well, we played 1 good half out of 4, and came away with 4 points. Now, that being said, I would have loved if Donny was the one that, made that, got that little goal at the end. Like, it would have been insane to just see him, after all that, he's not going to play and he's not getting any game time, for him to be able to come on. Because even Ronaldo's goal, he was involved in that as well. Like the second goal, he was involved in that to an extent as well. And it just shows, like, when he's on, he can do something. Why isn't he getting on more?
He definitely contributed a lot more, when he came on, than what was on the pitch. You know what I mean? And you can see. Like, you can see there's an urgency about him. You can see the kid wants to do well. Like, watching Paul Pogba is literally like pulling teeth. He's dragging his heels. He's like a petulant fucking child. He's rolling around. He's not getting free kicks. He's playing football inside his own 18-yard box. You're just like, pal, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
And I suppose, like, at this stage, United fans are just sick of him.
Yeah,
I personally just
when this season started, I was kind of thinking, he looks like he's kind of pulled the finger out now, and if he starts playing like this, we've got Ronaldo in and he's starting to play well. I was like, if he keeps this, this tempo up, and I'm not saying he has to be brilliant every game, but if he keeps the desire up, I'd keep him. But you can already see it's gone. Like, we are 1-0 down, and he's trying to play flicky passes around in our box, loses the ball, and thank God Eric Boye flung himself across the box and blocked it, because that would have been 2-0 down.
He had a decent game tonight, Eric Boye did.
He kind of always does, doesn't he? Like, he comes in, has a decent game, and then you won't see him again for a couple of weeks.
My problem with Eric is not necessarily the injury problem. My problem is he's either a 9 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. There's no middle ground with him. He's either really good or shocking. True. And tonight, he was good, in fairness to him. He was good. He was solid. Obviously, you've got the second goal. But again, as we spoke about it just before we come on here, like, that's Harry. That's Harry playing Zapata on. And, Boye had him offside. And it's Harry that's a little bit too deep and plays him onside. And it makes it look like positionally Boye hasn't done his job. But in actual fact, it's Maguire who's not got high enough in the line. And that's cost us that second goal.
He's not high enough in the line. He's meant to be our captain. He's meant to be, the one dictating, the back line. He's out of position, playing this man onside. And then when he does play him onside, the difference between where that ball lands and where Zapata is and where Maguire is, Maguire should be, I know he's not the quickest guy in the world, but like, he should be getting there before that Zapata boy, and he should be putting that out of play. And he just doesn't. He's not aware. And I don't know. I know you were saying before, is he has he picked up a bit of an injury and he's trying to play through it? Maybe, but like, there's certain things that aren't just injury, that there's an awareness and a, understanding of what you should be doing that he just doesn't seem to be having at the moment.
Yeah, he did. I suppose the injury thing, and not to harp on about it, I don't think he looks 100% fit. And I think when you're not 100% fit, your concentration can be a bit lacking.
Yeah.
And from my point of view, he looks like a guy that's nodding off a little bit. And maybe that's because he's not quite as sharp as where he needs to be. You know, like even in his first couple of years, you know, when he was playing good, like we didn't really rest him because he's one of those players that has to play week on week on week to get form and to keep fitness, and because he's a big guy. And I feel like when he missed a couple of weeks, he just hasn't managed to get back to where he wanted to be, you know. And I suppose we haven't had an awful lot of time. It's been game.
Yeah,
you know?
I think the loss of Iran early in the first half was also a bit of a contributing factor, because I think he had it in his head he was still playing three at the back, even with even though Varane had been gone for nearly 40 minutes at that point. I think he still had it in his head that Varane was going to get over there and cover. And before he went off, Varane had Zapata like in his pocket, really.
Yeah.
So every time the ball came near between the two of them, he forced him out wide, or he just booted it out of play. He wasn't getting much out of Varane.
And I mean, he was clever enough to not get roped into being on top of him either. That if he did turn, he was turning into him rather than turning him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I felt like Boy and Maguire kept getting too close. And that's what Zapata wanted, because if you see him from the first leg, he rolled, you know, one of the boys in the first leg. And that's when De Gea made the double save. It was Lindelof he rolled. And he rolled him with ease. And you're just thinking, like, don't get so close. That's schoolboy stuff. Give me a yard. Put your hand in his back. So you know where he is, but you're not going to be rolled in that type of manner, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree with you, though, that Boy had a great game here, barring the goal. And I think I'd agree with you. I think he could have been a little bit more aware that the player was running off the back of him. But in his mind, he looks across and he goes, well, there's Luke Shaw, there's me left back. And he's in line with me, and this boy's offside. And then Maguire's playing them on by a good bit. So I think overall, I think he's probably I would say the best player we had on the pitch today. I know Ronaldo bagged 2, but I would say that Boy is definitely arguably up there.
Boy he did have a good game. The only thing I will say is, and about that goal as well, is I'd like to see De Gea do better on it.
Come out.
I think he's got to get out and narrow that angle a lot quicker and make it harder for Zapata to actually, like, he's clung onto his line there.
Yeah,
that allows Zapata to get closer and closer and closer, and the target is still as big as it has been when he started the run. Whereas if he gets out and he narrows the angle and he's got the arms out, he's kind of spread eagle or something like that, he's got to try and get away past him. And I just think he's a bit too static on the line there, to be honest with you.
I think that's always a bit of a problem with him, though, isn't it? He's more of a shot stopper than a...
His starting position is too deep.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something, especially if you know, we're going to press, which we did in stages. There was stages obviously on Saturday, and there was stages tonight where we pressed, but there was then other stages where we dropped off and allowed them to have the ball in certain areas, which was obviously part of the plan. But when we press, he's got to get 20 yards higher up the pitch. Yeah. You know, he's got to be outside that 18-yard box. And because, again, it compresses the space that's in behind. And it means when that ball comes over the top, he's there. He's not trying to get there. And it just makes it so much easier for the centre-backs and stuff like that, you know, and the wing-backs.
It would, yeah. But I think there's possibly a lack of confidence in what's in front of him is making him say, I don't want to come out, because if I'm out slightly too far, the boys are already beaten.
I don't think if you put if you put the 4 best defenders of all time in front of me, come out. I just think he's not that kind of keeper.
Yeah,
he's never.
Yeah, true. You know, that is a point.
That's where I think maybe, you know, the likes of a Henderson or a Heaton might be slightly better at compressing that space and getting further forward. And it, again, even communicating things better from behind, so that as a centre back, like if De Gea is doing his job right, he should see that Maguire's out that line.
Yeah, screaming at him.
And he should be saying, Harry, step, get up. You know? So it does let me in on a little secret that maybe that's not happening either. You know, that makes the communication coming from behind, because the eyes and ears of the team have to come from the back, not from that back row. It comes from De Gea, because he sees everything in front of him, you know. And like I've seen it in my own, like I've seen it when I was playing football for years. I'd get a game at time over somebody that might be a better shot stopper because I communicated better. I was a talker. I was loud. Guys would hear me. And a manager say, you know what, he can organise this side better than the other lad can. And that's more important to it than the one or two shots that he might not get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you are right. Yeah. I think there was a lot of other problems, though, as well. Like, Pogba was insanely poor the whole game. He should have been booked earlier.
You're a man. It's like playing with 10 men.
Yeah. I think Shaw had an all right game. There was a lot of early fouls given against Shaw, and they were very light. I mean, he's, you're nudging into the guy and he's fallen over as if he'd been shot. And I think the ref got conned a lot in that game on Shaw's side anyway. He
does look a little bit over eager at times, though, I'll say. And I mean, towards the end there, one of the tackles was poor enough that he could have maybe seen a yellow.
That's kind of standard for him, though. The later you get into the game, he seems to lose steam and he makes those rash tackles. But
he got a foot on top of the ball and the studs rolled over the ball and onto the ankle of the Atalanta player.
Yeah,
and they were having a little peep at it. I thought, oh, could be in trouble here.
There was a few very early ones, like in the first half, where like, honestly, if you saw your kid go down getting touched like that in a game of football, you'd be going out and you'd be picking up by the scruff of the neck, going, get up. Like, if you're playing football like that, you're not playing at all. Come on, we're going home. Like, they were very, very, like, they were the lightest of touches, and I was like, don't know about this. Like, that's 3 fouls now you've given against them, and that's going to be in your head as a ref. Like, oh, if I see 1 or 2 more of them, he's getting a yellow. And you're just kind of thinking, none of them are fouls.
Even if I see him in a 50-50, I'd probably decide to think, was that 50-50, or is he just being a swine again?
Yeah, and he's had enough fouls. I was kind of just looking at it, and even the commentators were kind of saying, some of these aren't fouls at all. I don't know what this ref's at. De Gea was very poor for the first goal as well. I know I think he sees the shot late, but you'd still expect him to clean that one up as well.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, there is the element of it arriving a little bit late, but again, as you say, like, do you expect him to be beaten by it? Probably not. Not if he's, as we think he is, one of the top keepers in the world. He stops that for me. You know,
he gets a hand on it all right. I think it's just, I think he sees it a little bit late, and it just kind of gets a hand to it, but not enough.
If you're a goalkeeper and you're getting a hand on a ball, it shouldn't go in.
Yeah.
Because if you do, either your hand wasn't strong enough, in which case you got chocolate fucking wrists. So, you need to go and have a look at yourself. But other than that, like, he's got to really, really get a little bit more on that and get a bit more of his body behind the ball.
Yeah.
To make sure that he's not just reaching like he was. And listen, don't get me wrong, the ball is moving a little bit as well, and he sees it late. So it's not as easy as it would seem, but I just think if he's on top form, he should save it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think in the form he's been in recently, which is strange to say considering how many goals we've conceded, you'd expect him to be stopping that. That's it's not an easy one to stop. It looks a lot easier sitting here watching it, but it's definitely not as easy as it looked. But we move on from the bad of the game and we move on to the good. The first goal was something else. The quick passing, and then I'll tell you now, when that ball went into Bruno, I'd have put the house on him striking that, and he just takes it and just lays it back, because he's on the shoulder of the defender, and the defender might get a foot across, but 9 times out of 10 you get the ball in that position that close to the net, you're wellying it at the bottom corner and hoping for the best. And I
think it's a clever touch.
It is. That's what I mean. The idea to just flick that back, and then Ronaldo with the silkiest of touches as well.
The good thing is that he doesn't feel the need to try and strike it.
Yeah.
And be the hero, or be the guy who got he goes, you know what, I don't need it. Here you go. You knock it away. It's as good, us scoring, be it me, you, or the guy down the road, it's a goal. I'm not, and that's what you want from players. We've seen that a lot from the top teams over the last couple of years, that it's not about who gets the goal, it's about how many goals they get as a team, and that's
whereas back to the York and Cole.
Yeah, but at United it looks the opposite at times. It's all about, I want to score, I want to be the man, and like Pogba at times can be extremely greedy. and everything's about him trying to get the shot off and stuff like that. And at times Bruno can be like that, but he definitely tonight, he put that ball in a play for Ronaldo, which it was needed.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo's first touch as well was something else. He's inside the box, and you're expecting him to strike it straight away, but he takes a small little touch, and if he puts too much on that touch, it's straight into the keeper's arms or into the oncoming defender. It's just enough to get it out of his feet, but not so much that either of them can commit fully to it without being likely to give away a penalty, and then he just blasts it straight into that top corner. That's one of the better goals I've seen us score. As you said before, we're usually quite moments FC, whereas that was a good team goal. There was another silky looking play as well between Bruno, Pogba, and Ronaldo. Pogba puts it up and Ronaldo heads it just slightly off target, and that would have been a lovely goal as well. But it's the second goal that's the real standout, isn't it?
It was probably the only worthwhile thing Pogba did in the night was the ball. But there's a little bit on it.
There is a lot on it. Yeah, there's more on it than you need to in that position.
It needs to be lofted. It needs to be chipped. Whereas he's really gone at it a little bit too much,
Yeah.
And there's a bit too much kind of pace on it for Ronaldo to even have time to direct it.
Yeah, it's just get your head on it and hope that it gets towards the net, like sort of thing. It's the second goal though that's the real standout, isn't it? Again, it's a late strike here. As you said earlier, Atalanta are hard done by here. Both games Ronaldo pops up late, but this one is just something special. And
they're so very different, the goals,
Yeah,
like one's a header where he's out jumping a couple of centre backs, and then tonight is a ball that's kind of it's not a great touch from Greenwood, and it's kind of falling away from him, and the next minute Ronaldo just hits it. And I think obviously he scored the goal the weekend, which was another volley again, very similar in the vein that it's a little bit off the outside of his right foot because it's arcing back in towards the goal on that side. Two very similar strikes, obviously from completely different positions, but two very similar strikes. And I watched the game at Spurs at the weekend, and they spoke. I can't remember who was in the studio, and they spoke about how he let the ball drop as low as possible.
Yeah.
And how that was a much cleaner strike on the ball. And he did the same tonight. Like that ball is almost on the ground when he decides to come through on it. But you can see it doesn't go up and dip. It just kind of moves at the same height all along. He struck it really well, and it just arcs his way into that bottom corner off the outside of the right foot. It's a cracking finish, man. Really
like an arrow into that bottom corner. And as you said, he keeps it. He lets it get down very low to the ground, which makes it all that bit harder for the keeper because he doesn't need to just get across the net now. He needs to sit down as well.
Because with the dropping of the ball like that, again with the one from Spurs as well, it's so easy to hit it a little bit early and sky it. And you've seen so many players do it. So to be able to get his knee over it like that and to be able to let it drop and have the confidence to be very patient about it rather than snatching at it and just believing in the way you strike the ball, there's a lot to be said for it.
Yeah, it's a quality goal, and that is Moments FC. That one, the first goal is a team goal. That one is just pure. If you don't have Ronaldo or Messi or the likes of Lewandowski, someone with that confidence and that not even just experience, but the confidence and like composure in themselves to say, I'm gonna let this drop all the way down because
you've probably about 5 to 10 players in the world that'll score that goal.
Yeah,
and you've mentioned 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah,
you probably add in the likes of Benzema, maybe someone like that.
Yeah,
but otherwise,
you're snatching early at it, aren't you? And you're going to, you might still score it now. You snatch it that early, you could ping it into the top corner or whatever, but you have a higher chance of pinging that over the bar and back into the back stands up the top in the nosebleed sections than you do from putting it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
But not a great performance, but I mean,
a vital point.
It's a vital result because the difference between that scoring that goal and not scoring that goal is third in the table and first in the table. So we're still in first now rather than being down in third.
Still in first. We've got young boys to come at home, which should be a gimme.
Yeah, if you win that, you should be safely through, really, shouldn't you?
That gives you 10 plus your away game at Villarreal. Now, if you look at it at the minute, Villarreal have 7 as well. Yeah. So Villarreal need to beat us or beat Atalanta to get to 10. And we still, let's say they beat us. They end up on 10. We end up on 10. And then it's down to the game against Atalanta with them. If they draw, Atalanta can't reach the 10 that we have.
Yeah.
So I'd say that point tonight will nearly guarantee us passage.
I would think so, yeah, because if you get past Young Boys and put yourself onto 10, and then the last game is us versus Villarreal. If Villarreal have already rolled over at Atalanta and we're both on 10, nobody can catch us.
The problem is our next game is Villarreal.
Oh, is it? Sorry, our next one's Villarreal, yeah. So
our next one is Villarreal. So if Villarreal beat us, they could be on 10.
Yeah.
And then we could be on 7. And if Atalanta have beaten Young Boys, Atalanta are on 8.
Yeah, and will the likes of Villarreal go out strong against Atalanta, knowing that they've essentially qualified?
If they get a draw, 11 points tops the group for them, and Atalanta finish on 9, and we nick second place with 10 with a win against Young Boys. But if Atalanta were to beat Villarreal, then it'd be down to goal difference between us and Villarreal.
Yeah, so I suppose they can't really rest on their laurels there either.
No, they really can't. Like a draw in Spain would be massive.
Yeah, that'd be the best result for us. But obviously a win would be the best result, and
a win puts it to bed. But a draw for us in Spain kills Villarreal off a little bit. It dampens them down. It means they have to be Atalanta to get second, which means then Atalanta are less likely to end up with 11, because obviously Villarreal beating them would leave them on 8. You're assuming they're going to take the points off
Young Boys. We're assuming we're going to take them as well. So
that's it. Yeah, that's it. So there's two variables and permutations and stuff like that, but like ultimately that point tonight could be the difference between us getting through this group and not.
Yeah, and I mean, as the old saying goes, and I'm not saying I think we're going to win it, but you can't win the Champions League if you don't get out of the group stages, as the old saying goes. So
absolutely, and you'll be amazed how many teams over the years, if you look back at the records and stuff like that, how many teams have just scraped out of a group and all of a sudden gone on a run and just picked up a bit of momentum. On those two-legged affairs can be tough games, but they can be easy to get through a tie, because you don't have that variable of losing a game and being out of a competition.
Yeah, you have two chances at it.
Better teams usually get through on a two-legged affair. That probably doesn't sound good for us because we're not a great team at the minute.
No,
but we might create an awful lot of moments in 180 minutes. That's the problem for others.
Yeah, and as you said, like one good half out of 4 here has got us a win and a draw. You do that for the rest of the tournament. You get through and you win and you draw, win and you draw. That's you through the tournament the whole way.
And you've got Ronaldo looking at maybe the Golden Boot in this Champions League because he's got 5 and 4. He's looking to add to his personal total, and if he's thinking he could win a Champions League with United, with the state we're in at the minute, like that'd go up there with winning the Euros with Portugal, I think.
Oh yeah, easily. And I mean, this is his tournament, really, isn't it? Nobody's touching him in this tournament if he can get going. This is what he's built for. At this point in his career, he's not there for every game of the season. He's there for these big moments that you need him, and he'll get you through ties that you need him to get you through. Well, we roll on to a tough game now on the weekend with City, and it looks like Varane is possibly out for that as well. So could be in for another very rough Premier League game on the weekend.
You're hoping that Lindelof is back, maybe to go back to the back 3, or
at least hoping that, yeah.
Or then you put McTominay into the back 5, maybe.
I think the plan was to play this back 3 with Fred and McTominay as defensive midfielders, and obviously Pogba wouldn't be playing because he has the red card.
So then you just play Boy and Shaw either side of Maguire and let Telles play on the left and Wan-Bissaka on the right.
Yeah, it could be the way that they go. But
Shaw's played in the back 5 before, in the back 3 before, and done well, and he done it at City.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think this is the plan for us going forward, especially against City anyway. And it could do well against them because they're they're defensively, they're not great this season now at all.
No, and they will leave gaps at the back for us,
Yeah,
and
with the pace we have.
With the pace, Rashford was poor tonight, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be poor on Saturday,
Yeah, exactly.
Given another opportunity.
Yeah. I wouldn't be overly confident going in against them. I think if we'd won here and won comfortably, which I thought on the pre-show or on the preview, you'll see me say like that I thought we were going to roll these. I didn't think we'd keep a clean sheet. I said there's a mistake in us, but I thought we'd roll these by 3 or 4.
Yeah, I thought we beat them 3-1 now, I have to say.
Yeah.
Because they were quite gung-ho in their approach.
Yeah.
But we had a serious lack of quality in and decision making. The final balls and how we got them in, and when we just decided to shoot, and there was a lot of bodies in the way and stuff like that. It was messy. It was a tough game, but if you're going to win trophies, you got to go and win games like that, don't you?
Yeah, you do. But we'll leave it there for this week, and win, lose or draw, we're United Till We Die, and you can find us obviously on the Dynamo Podcast Network under the upper tier flag, along with all the other footballing shows there. And the boys are in a bit better spirits than we are with their teams most of the time, but sure, hopefully we'll get back to the glory days of our youth, Darren. But until then,
we'll knock them off their perch eventually, Ted. Don't worry about it, pal.
Yeah, and hopefully we can stay there for another couple of years once we get there. But until then, good luck.
Take it easy, pal.